On Saturday, September 20th, our presbytery is hosting a special event to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Presbyterian Church in Canada. It's going to be held at Knox Presbyterian in Red Deer, and we're looking for singers to join a mass choir, so send me a message if you're interested in that. To prepare for the anniversary, I have just read this book, McQueen of Edmonton by E.A. Corbett. This is about Reverend David George McQueen, one of the first Presbyterian ministers in Alberta, who the McQueen neighborhood of Edmonton is named after. That's the neighborhood that's just west of Westmount. I'm going to be talking more about McQueen on another day. He was instrumental in the continuation of the Presbyterian Church in Canada. But for today, I just want to read you a bit of the introduction to this book. Looking back at what life was like back then, Corbett writes, "The home of a Presbyterian family in good standing in the church in those days was often regulated by a rigid Puritanism difficult for the young and independent of spirit. But there was a rugged discipline about the place that left an indelible impression on all its members. In many homes there was family worship twice a day, grace before meals, attendance at Wednesday night prayer and meeting, and a Tuesday meeting of the Christian Endeavor Society, 2 services on a Sunday and a Sunday school, to say nothing of memorizing long chapters of the scriptures and a thorough mastery of the shorter catechism." How exhausting. Corbett goes on to say, "The Sabbath in the 90s, the 1890s, was strictly observed. No wheel on the farm turned, except on its way to the kirk. It was a day in which no light reading of any kind was allowed. Shoes were blackened and wood boxes filled on Saturday nights, and even the heavy Sunday dinner, which helped more than anything else to realize the desired atmosphere of solemn stillness, was, as far as possible, prepared on the Saturday. No whistling was allowed, not even of hymns, and I can well remember the stern disapproval of my father when the Sunday school superintendent took his new bicycle for a spin on a Sunday afternoon." Corbett goes on for several paragraphs to talk about how severe the atmosphere was in a Presbyterian household, all to point out how different Reverend McQueen was because he liked to smile. My, has the church changed. Now, none of you were alive at the time Corbett is describing, but I'm sure there's something about his description that might have felt familiar to some of you. You might have been raised in an equally strict atmosphere. If you grew up in the church, I'm sure you have stories that you could share. Church was a different place back then, wasn't it? We often complain about how slow churches change. Or really, I should say, I often complain about how slow churches change. But church does change. Our attitudes, our religious practices, what we think is important or unimportant, all of that evolves with the generations. The Spirit of God led us, changes us, and now sends us in new directions. Admittedly, it will look slow from our perspective on the ground, but when we look back, we realize how far we have come. I look forward to looking back at more of these stories as we celebrate 150 years of ministry. Amen.